We should have. I mean, at some point, we should come up with like a.
You're right.
Full,
but what did I say I was gonna sing?
You said you were gonna sing something like random, like a random sort of like.
Man.
Like some sort of weird song that like is about our livelihoods.
Was it?
I don't know, Sasha. I don't know.
I'm gonna sing this one.
Sasha, we gotta figure that out. Nope, I don't like that song. That song. I mean, I love that song. You what?
I had a better one.
What was it gonna be?
I don't remember.
Well, while we're trying to figure this out, ladies and gentlemen, welcome.
Hi guys.
Chaos Queen. We back. I'm gonna do that cool boop, and then we go boop, boop, and then we go boop. You know what I mean? Welcome to our lovely little talk show.
Yeah.
We're here for you. We're back. What's up, Nia? What's going on? The people are here. People are coming in, getting settled. Hi. Getting settled in there. So Sasha, how's your week been? This is our first time only having a week between episodes.
I know. I feel claustrophobic about it.
Talking about that, claustrophobic. What do you mean?
I am feeling very claustrophobic. I just like to buffer my virtual space.
Okay.
Especially the space that I share with you virtually, because let's be honest.
About that. Let's be real.
You just, you never know when a GIF of you as Nicolas Cage, as Nicky Cage, is going to pop up, and that's just
Let me tell you something.
Unacceptable.
I wouldn't call it unacceptable as much as I would call it unnecessary evil. Unnecessary evil. What's up, Julian?
Unnecessary evil.
No, a necessary.
Unnecessary evil.
The face app that allows people to see people as different people is a wonderful app. I'm in for that app. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. No, Nia, so that's the question. So we are right. Yeah. Should we do this weekly? That's a big thing, because here's the thing. Right, we're not necessarily a podcast. We talked about this last week. We're not a podcast. We're a talk show.
But my mom calls it a podcast.
And so does mine. But my mom doesn't even know what a podcast is. Do you know what I mean?
No, exactly. Still doesn't even know what a podcast is.
Doesn't know.
That's as far as she's gonna get.
She says, "Oh, it's a podcast," because that speaks for any number of things. That could be, this could be a podcast. Do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't.
Talk about this. It's just like the new technology.
New technology.
Just like
it's a podcast. So it's an email. It's an email.
It's not on the radio. It's a podcast.
It's a podcast. There it is. And but I say that to say this show actually takes a lot of prep. There's like prep that we do between guests, and like very much not to this level at all. But I was thinking of like the Daily Show, the work that they have to do.
Yeah, we are the Daily Show. We're very close.
We are so close to the Daily Show, but like they have to do all the work of collecting the stories that day and putting them in. Last week tonight with John Oliver does the same thing. They have to collect all the stories that week. And we are a 2-person team collecting stories, both of whom are also doing other projects at the same time. So like, again, this is not complaining at all, but it's also saying like, is a bi-weekly better? Does that give us more time? I don't know. We can play around. We can see how it goes today.
We're gonna see.
But we have a very special. This is the reason that we're doing this with a single week in between is because This couldn't wait. We had something we really wanted to talk about today. A lot of things we really want to talk about today. But today, the main topic today is going to be in the world of finance, of money. Yep. I don't know what she's saying.
In my Chinese money plants. Do you know that's what these are called? They're Chinese money plants.
That's real? That's a real thing?
Yeah.
Chinese money plant.
And then I also have a money tree.
See, now this is when we're going to get into
my plants.
Your plants. And nobody asked for that. Because you see,
nobody asked for this show, Nick.
He really didn't. It's really
nobody
sad.
asked for this show. Nobody asked for this. Nobody said, you know what? Nobody did, except for Broadway World.
Broadway World. we got to stop ragging on for that, because they really did ask for this, and
they really did. They said,
"Come on, do this," and we were like,
yeah.
What? I mean, are you sure? Are you sure you want to put us on your wonderful brand? And yet, here we are. But all that to say, we're going to talk about money, because money is something that during this pandemic is not happening. You know what I mean? Money is something that we are all, I think, thinking about in some way, and we are all affected by in some way.
Drying up.
And we have a very special guest to help us talk through that money. So we will get to him in a second. Before then, what are we doing? Are we doing a little secure perimeter?
Yeah, let's do a little perimeter check. How's your perimeter doing, Nikki Walks?
My perimeter. Well, so perimeter check. How did you do it? How did you secure your perimeter? The world is chaos. How do you maintain your boundaries against social media trolls and NYSE water bugs, as well as systemic racism and glaring socioeconomic inequalities exacerbated by a global pandemic? Good Lord, Sasha, what took you by surprise this week? How did you do it? Perimeter check. How did I secure my perimeter today?
Yeah.
Or this week? I'll tell you exactly how.
Okay.
So I'm a person, we talk about my anxiety more than we should on the show, but I live with anxiety. I think we all in some form have a little bit of anxiety. But
not me.
Not you. Not you. You're good. You're golden. Yep, there she is. There she is. There's that face. But one of the things that gives me anxiety is adulting. Adulting in general. I am not, like, my wife is very much the adult of this marriage.
That's
I am not
your whole life. Like, you are an adult, therefore adulting is all you do.
Except for the fact that I'm not. I'm a child who somehow figured out how to do things that somehow resemble adulting.
If I had $1 for every time a man tried to explain his behavior to me in that way.
Yeah. Keep going. More. Deeper.
I wouldn't talk about money during a pandemic. I'd be rich.
That's it. Deeper. More. All I'm going to say to you is I've been trying to take responsibility.
Okay.
For I'll kill you.
So interested.
I'll freaking kill you. Here's what I'm going to say to you. Here's how I secured my perimeter, okay?
Yeah.
I started scheduling out my days. And I know that sounds small, but it's like a little, stop it. See, Sasha's doing this thing where she's like the dude from Get Out, like floating in the... Stop it. I'm so sick of you. But like, not even like, I always scheduled my days in terms of time. Stop it.
I got tangled up.
Or you were in entanglement? Were you entangled?
We're not talking about me. We're talking about you.
Great. So, Casey Bach, standing up for you, by the way. Please don't kill her. We love her. Amazing. But what I started to do was schedule not only my hour to hour, but like my day. So like Monday is my adulting day. So anything that needs to get done adulting wise, whether it's like checking on insurance, checking on bills, like, emailing whoever, that now happens on Monday. Wednesday is my recording day. Wednesday is when I'm either recording here or recording Little Justice. Okay. Thursday is my writing day. Sunday is my cleaning day. Sunday is when I clean this apartment.
Yes.
And research how to do so. Research not how to clean, but like in what order is the most efficient way of cleaning. And again, I know that these all sound like minuscule things, but understand that like
you're doing great work. You're doing so good.
Now, what I don't need is you to gaslight me and mock me for my research.
No, that's not what I'm doing.
I swear to God. You are resembling so many, this is going to sound so shady, but so many company managers who I've worked with. I resemble this exact company.
But one of my favorite things to do is watch when I can see a company manager doing it to someone else that I know is like being super dramatic. And I'm like, watch this. Yeah. But we all end up in that position where like we've like just like gone off the rails about something, like as an actor or as an artist. Like I just can't, there's something in the bottom of my boot and I just can't do the show like this. And then like the company manager has to come up and be like, so I heard there was an issue. I heard there was an issue with the boot or something. Tell me about it.
It's so true.
Like, so much empathy and sympathy. God bless.
God bless him. God bless. And also, I say this as someone who has had the best company managers on Broadway, being Brig Burney and Holly Campbell, who are true gifts. So, like that. This is all said with the caveat of there are amazing company managers out there. Yeah. But just had to throw a little shade in. But yeah, man, it's just amazing what happens when you really.
You're very right. You're very right. Setting those boundaries, setting your schedule.
Yeah.
What happens on the other days? I find it hard to call this an adulting day, but okay.
This is absolutely an adulting day because this is what we call an investment, an investment of my time. Exactly.
We're gonna get into investments.
We're gonna talk about investments today. Tuesday is my therapy day.
Okay, that's very old.
Yeah, Tuesday is my that's my therapy. So I have therapy at 5:00. My guy we talk shit out. And then Friday is like my catch-all day. Friday is like, because there's meetings throughout all these days. Yeah. Friday's the day that's like, if I couldn't schedule you Monday through Thursday, you're going on Friday. And then on top of that, my weekends are sacred. I do not schedule anything on my weekends. And that is response to which says, F your weekends. Okay, you are owned by us now. You come in and you live in this building from 8 to 5 o'clock on Friday to 5 o'clock on Sunday. Yeah. We have no weekend.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to go there. I don't want to talk about that. Not yet.
Don't go there. Sasha, how did you? What were you saying?
This is how. I'm not going to talk about it.
Is that stage?
I just do a lot. I don't know what's going on in the universe, but I am making a perimeter of sage.
Is that how you're doing that right now? That's how you're doing it?
Yeah. I'm just right here.
I love that choice.
Really burning out of this, okay?
I did not. Mia is coming in here. I did not say that. I did not.
The boys.
The boys. I did not say that. I said weekends are for me. I mean, I am. You know what? Yeah, weekends are for the boys. Weekends for the boys. I'll go with that. Sage. But is that how you're securing your perimeter this week, Sasha? Is the sage?
Honestly, definitely. Like, I have been. I mean, I don't know. I think we talked about last week. I was like, I got done with a really busy week and just like kind of coming down from that. So I've just been like, I don't really do well with those transitions, like between being very, very busy and then sort of like, okay, and we're back, non-employment. Yeah. And so for some reason, I've just been burning this a lot. And like, I've never been one of those people who's just like, so it's like really cleanse the energy. I mainly like the way it smells and it like blocks out a lot of other stuff, like maybe the trash that I need to take out. But recently I've really been like, oh no, she needs to burn this. So I don't know. I'm also spiritual stuff. I'm going to start reading books about the moon.
Now, we did a jump there.
Did we though?
You're going to start reading books about the moon?
Yeah, for sure.
And there's no context to that. Just books.
And I'm going to write something that's about sage and ice water. Ice water and sage. Sage and ice water. Ice water and sage. It sounds interesting. I don't know what it is, you guys, but it's coming.
I'm looking for the connection.
Keep looking.
Great.
It's on.
It's on a loot. I love that. This is all amazing, and that's great. I
don't care if it didn't make sense. It's my life. All right. Let's move on.
Excellent. Let's move on. So before we get to our guest, we do want to acknowledge the tragedy happening in Beirut right now. If you've been keeping up with the news, there was thousands of tons of ammonium nitrate that exploded in the city. I believe it was yesterday. And that explosion rocked the entirety of the country. And people are still looking for survivors, looking for, the dead, pulling back the rubble. What really angers me about this is that this was, according to what we've read up on this was something that, the storage of this ammonium nitrate that caused this explosion, that customs officials were writing letters for 3 years asking the government to, can we look into getting a better container for this explosive material? And that, 6 years later, it still wasn't taken care of. And we ended up with this today, which speaks to kind of another global crisis that Americans are experiencing that was put off and that we are now reaping the benefits of right here. So I first of all, we're just sending love and energy. I haven't yet. I don't know if anybody, please, like, has any places to donate for this. Active things we can do. It's right. It's always great to send prayers and thoughts, but what can we actively do to help that situation? Please post it in the comments, and we will throw it up on the screen. But yeah, we just wanted to definitely take a moment to acknowledge that is something that has happened.
Yeah, it's fairly new and developing, but just, we don't have a ton of resources on it, but we would love, action is better. So
yeah,
if you have something, shout it out and we'll definitely throw it up there. Thank you for, So we're going to get into it. I don't know about your pockets, Nikki Walks, but mine are $600 lighter as of July 31st.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I'm really feeling it, honestly. I don't feel lighter.
You don't feel lighter?
I don't personally feel lighter.
Yeah.
My pockets, it's a weird thing. You know how that happens.
Yeah.
So, Oh, wait, I do want to go to this. Somebody said Lebanon Red Cross. People are saying funds donated to other orgs aren't actually going to the cause. So
thank you, Nia. Thank you for throwing that in there.
Yeah.
But before,
how are you doing that?
I mean, I'm good. I want to say before we get to this is something that we have to say.
Okay.
Before we start into the financials.
Very important.
Because we are of the wonderful Bible world who time and time again make the space for us to do this. We want to say the contents of this interview are for informational purposes only and are not legal or financial advice or a substitute for a lawyer or a financial advisor. This information is not intended to create, and watching it does not constitute an official advisor or attorney-client relationship. As with everything on the internet, you should really not rely or act upon this information without seeking professional advice. All that to say, we're going to talk about Sasha went out. Sasha's gone. Sasha left me. Sasha, why'd you leave? Why are you leaving?
Yeah, I don't know.
Sasha's doing this thing, and she's leaving. Now she's back. But all that to say, all that to say, please take advantage of the fact that we live in an age of information. We have so many resources. We're going to say a lot of things today, but please learn this stuff for yourself. Find the knowledge for yourself. And that's with everything that we talk about. When we talk about arts, the intersection of art and activism, we always want to encourage you guys to find these resources for yourself, not just taking us at our words. Because quite frankly, also, we're not experts. We're just two people who see a lot of stuff that makes us mad and we want to talk about it, and get it out there. So that's what it is. That's what it is. But yeah, I agree. Now I can say, yes, my pockets are certainly lighter. And I would even say they're not even $600 lighter for me specifically, because I haven't even gotten on that train yet. You're on the train ahead of my train. So what are you talking about when you say
$600?
Let's talk about that. Talk to me about what the $600 is.
You never got the extra, the unemployment bump.
Because I was incorporated.
Oh, yeah.
So I had to I did the small business loan first.
Whole other thing.
Which to be clear, the SBA, the Small Business Association, still has not set down guidelines on how to get loan forgiveness for that loan. Still has not made that clear. So all of us who have used that loan, used it properly, put it through our payroll, right? Put 75% of it goes through your payroll, 25% of it you use for other things. We're all sitting like, cool, we did that. We have the receipts. Like, where's the loan forgiveness document? Not available at this time. So boop boop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So a lot of things going on with money.
A lot of things going on. The U.S. unemployment rate, I think, as of June 2020, was 11.1%. In New York, it's 15.6. It's the Bureau of Labor Statistics. You can look all of this stuff up. The Broadway shutdown is on until officially January, I believe, beginning of the year. Rumors of it possibly lasting longer. And then actually on June 30th, New York paused evictions until August 5th, which is today. Now.
Right now.
And so evictions loom. And speaking of looms, we will be getting into looms. Looms are looming, and we'll be getting into those a little later. With that said, we'd love to bring on our guest, And it's sort of a duo team that I'm very excited to have on.
I'm super excited about this.
I'd like to introduce Patrick McKay and Monette McKay.
Woo!
Hello.
It's great being here.
What's up, awesome people? So Patrick is, has a resume as long as my arm, and we will read that in a second. Monette, however, Monette is one of our dear friends. You've seen her in, countless Broadway shows, but she is such a talented and wonderful person, and a mom. She is joining us right now, taking a pause from taking care of her amazing daughter, Aura. So thank you for being here, Monette. Yes.
Monette and I worked together on my first show, my Broadway debut, Memphis, and I don't think we've worked together since. But she's a very, very dear friend of mine. You might have seen her in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Come From Away.
Yeah, Come From Away, as I know that was like where she was right before the pandemic hit and the shutdown. Incredible actress, incredible, lovely performer, and an even more awesomer human.
Absolutely. And
it makes him feel good.
Yeah.
No, listen, you did well, sir. You did well. And of course, Patrick, who is her lovely father. Patrick is a trusted financial advisor and tax consultant. He has had over 40 years of business experience in the areas of accounting, taxation, finance, and wealth management through working for a number of firms. He is, as we said, the proud father to Monette and other daughters, and we are just so blessed to have him on the show as well. So thank you both for being here.
Yeah.
It is absolutely wonderful to see you both. Absolutely. Sasha, what you thinking?
Listen, I want to jump all the way in because I think there's just a wealth of information that you have regarding money and finances. I mean, I think artists are notoriously unskilled with maybe their wallets. And, and then I would also say within the Black community, sometimes there's a lack of understanding of how things work. I mean, and that's not for nothing. A lot of times things are rigged against us. So there's a lot, there's sort of like ways things have been made difficult. So I think that you probably just have so much information. I don't want to talk a ton. I would love for you to talk about what you do as what is a financial advisor? What is a tax consultant? What are like the basics of what you do and how you help people with their money?
Oh, absolutely. Thanks for the opportunity to share this. Because as you mentioned, Nick, over 40 years of doing this, and now I'm giving away my age bit.
Listen. We appreciate it.
Well, with all seriousness, though, I think finances are extremely important when it comes to not just those in the Broadway community, but everyone. And unfortunately, too often we see that people are just don't pay enough attention to their finances until they really need to. So generally speaking, what I do is I generally help people, and primarily what I did previously was help those who are high net worth individuals, helping to manage their money, invest it, make sure that they have insurance and all the trappings necessary in order to have financial success. I started out on Wall Street many years ago, and one of the problems there is that we didn't see too many guys like me around. And now I'm focusing a lot more and doing a lot of pro bono stuff to help, because I see so much in our community that is lacking. And unfortunately, sometimes people are not just paying attention to those things; they just ignore it, or they try get rich quick schemes in order to make it happen. And then on the tax side, I pair that with taxes because it ties in with your finances also. And unfortunately, the tax code is not always very clear, but I try to make it a little easier.
Yeah. Will you talk a little more about things that you see within the community, particularly like maybe our Black community? Because I'm very interested in what you maybe see and ways you've probably tried to educate your family. And then I'd also love to hear from Monette about things that you've learned or what that's like growing up with in a household that's very money mindful.
Nice.
But yeah, I would love to hear like things you see and then what that was like for you.
Well, in the Black community, unfortunately, there isn't enough education regarding finances. And it starts in school, actually, and at home. In school, they stop teaching kids how to balance their checkbooks or to or any other financial requirements that they may have. Even doing a tax return. Here, where I'm in a predominantly Caucasian area, I know in the high school, because I do taxes for a couple of those teachers, they are actually teaching them taxes. So, and I don't see that in too many other places. Yep, that's right. It does.
Right.
But that I think is what's important, and for people to understand that and to learn how to manage your money along the way. As far as saving money, because in Jamaica they had an old saying, "Every mickle makes a muckle," where you save a penny here and penny there, it adds up. But not everyone focuses on that, nor do they care. Unfortunately, too often people live for the moment.
Yeah.
They're not saving or thinking about the future or preparing for the future.
So when you see somebody, I mean, is it because look, I mean, yeah, like you said, you've been working with some people who have high valuations and have these amazing careers. But even is that same principle true for people who maybe aren't making that kind of money? Like, is it still something that is tangible and attainable to save when you're working minimum wage, or I mean, how does that work?
It's still attainable. Unfortunately, the difficulty that you have there with someone who has less assets available to them is that life happens, and things are difficult in order to manage that, and especially if they have a family to care for also. So the difficulty there is balancing where you're going to spend those few pennies that you have, and unfortunately, it's not always easy. So someone will make a choice between either purchasing one item versus feeding the family. What I try to stress to most people is, focusing on wants and needs, not just because you want it or you think you want it. Try to determine whether it's something that you really need, and in that case, then you focus on purchasing or achieving those needs as opposed to the wants. And that way, you try to manage it a bit that way.
Yeah,
I feel like that's where I want to know what that was like for Monette, because that sounds like something my dad would say to me, and I'd be like, but I need it. But I need a cell phone. Like, that was the battle in my house, that I needed a cell phone, and my dad telling me it was a tool, not a toy.
Right.
Yeah.
I was like, games on it.
Well, she can speak about it. She did a great job when she got out of college. After that, I lost track of what she was doing.
Like you said, life happens. So.
That's amazing. No, yeah, but Mona, what was that journey like for you, especially someone who again has had a Broadway career, is raising a child now? What has this journey been like for you? Really learning how to take ownership of your finances.
Yeah, it's been ingrained in me for a very long time. But it's still, as an artist, like, I am unemployed right now, and I have been unemployed before. And I think the biggest lesson, and I just came up with a catchphrase for you, but something I heard.
Can I use it?
He always was like the.
Oh no!
Oh.
Okay, we got you.
Got you back. Got you back.
Right.
Wait, are we here?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're good. Say your catchphrase one more time.
My catchphrase: act your wage. Act your wage. Yeah.
Hang on. We about to turn this to a hashtag.
I just heard. Oh my gosh! For actors, it's brilliant because my dad, and it's actually like act below your wage, because what happens is I have lived paycheck to paycheck, but my dad always instilled in me, like, especially as an artist, when not necessarily a global pandemic happens, but let's say the show closes, or, you get sick or whatever, like, life happens. You just need to have that cushion. You need to have, so each week, you've got to put something away, so that you are able, he would always say, like, you need to at least be able to live for the next 6 months more. Yeah. Now he says like a year, because let's be honest, it's like month 5 of this pandemic, and I'm like, oh gosh, no more $600, like. Yes. But you at least need to be able to have that, so you're not like desperate. You don't have to make these choices, you know, between eating and, you know, I don't know, new shoes or something you might actually need. I don't know. But yeah, so it was like act your wage, act below your wage, and just make sure you're constantly like figuring out, do I actually need this? Like, because I have just been online shopping while Aura was taking a nap on me, and everything is just going to sit in that cart, and I'm like, I don't need it.
No.
But it's nice to, like, you know, dream.
But
yeah, wants and needs, absolutely. And so, yeah, just making sure, you know, because especially on Broadway, we like to kiki, we like to go out, we like to take cabs.
Yeah.
To, you know, live this, the glamorous life, you know.
Yeah.
Whole Foods all the time. I'm saying these things because I have done these things.
Yeah.
And at the same time, yes, like treat yourself, get yourself a little I made it on Broadway thing, and also your show could close in 2 weeks, so make sure that, you know, you have something so that you're not desperate and scrounging around and floundering when you don't have a job, whether it's on Broadway or not.
Have either of you had that moment? Oh, go ahead, sir.
No, she mentioned being desperate there, and whenever you become desperate, you do crazy things, or, you know, things that are not rational, and that's why it needs to have that cushion so that you're not, you know, stuck in that position at all. And I'm proud of her. She really did well. She came out of college with a lot of student debt, and she eliminated it real quick. But now she's having second thoughts, I'm sure, about that.
I am. I'm like, what?
It's so real. It's so real.
Yeah.
Oh, y'all. Yeah. And again, and that really tells you there's no way to. I mean, that's why it's so important. Javon McFerrin in here with some really good advice.
Yep.
Parents told me to look at my check divided by 3, and that's how much money you really made.
Yes.
Excellent.
It's true.
It's true, because you really can't prepare for these moments, and when you and there's so many things that I look back and I'm like, oh God dang it, you know what I mean? Like I just shouldn't have done. But like, I mean, and this was going to ask especially you, Monette and Sasha, for a second. Have you guys had that moment when, like, you're like, when they announce that your show is closing, that stomach gut punch that hits you, and you say, oh, like, because all of a sudden you're like all the extra streaming channels are gone, all the everything is gone. You're like, I got to start cut.
Even if you knew it was coming, even if you saw the audiences dwindling.
Yep.
You knew that you saw the grosses. You already went on Broadway World. You already went wherever. You looked at the grosses. You're like, we are not making it.
We will not be here.
But like they come in. I remember, Monette, I remember getting the closing notice for Memphis, and I had just gone because somebody came in the dressing room talking about Nordstrom was having a sale. And I went in there and bought myself some designer jeans on sale. Now I got them for a very good price, but it was more than I had ever spent on a pair of jeans still, because I was like new to the city. I was new to Broadway. And I remember like, I went home and I like sat with the jeans, and I was like,
so sad.
It was. I kept those jeans, and those jeans have lasted. I still have a pair. Like they lasted me for years, but I really did have to sit there because it's just like you spend according. It's very easy, but we live a different life. Like it's easy to get into. This is the check that's been coming in for the past 6 months. I'll probably book another show. Like this is just the way it goes. And so it's this weird thing that we have to do with balancing, like, you know, the money that's coming in with like the unexpectedness of our career already. Say, like, not even talking about the things that have happened this year. You know, you just don't know. And I thought about like those things of like, I never knew that there are these measures that people can give you. Like you need to save 6 to 12 months. I mean, sometimes people say 3, but now it's like, you know, 6, especially as an actor, save 6 to 12 months. Like until you've saved that, you don't have any money. Until you've saved enough money to live for this long without a job, you don't have any money. So you're not going shopping. And then like, you know, even like how much money how much your rent should be, how much like of your portion, like what you know you're making, that there are actual, like, there are people who can, a financial advisor you can go to and say like, how do I budget? How do I really do this? If you haven't had that kind of education at home. But even then, sometimes I can tell you, like, my parents don't necessarily understand like what it's like to live in New York City as an artist. That's a totally different ballgame.
And this is I want to, because this is actually a great question that I want to ask you, sir. But before I do, I just want to bring up this thing that Aaron.
Yeah, my dad is sir.
All right, there you go. Well, Patrick, no, I want everyone to get surprised, but I also want to bring up this thing that Aaron put in the chat because this is the funniest thing, and we all know this.
Oh my God!
So this is the thing that happens, especially on theater, when that playbill. So every show starts out, and that playbill is full color. Okay.
Wow.
If you go to a show and you see that playbill is black and white, that is how you know that show will probably not be there for much longer. When they say that Kinko's copy playbill.
And say look those actors up on Venmo and just drop them a 50.
Drop them a little. Just drop them a little.
Need it soon. Just drop them a 50. Drop them a little extra if you got it.
Oh my God.
That's real.
So Patrick, this is definitely a question I had for you. Speaking of financial advisors, because that it's been one of the really fascinating things. I've recently signed on with a financial advisor who I love, and why I love him is that his whole the only way I can describe his approach is holistic. Right there, so many of the financial advisors that I met were, telling me what to invest in, where to go. Well, based off of this, you should be doing this. And this was the guy who, especially, and granted, I think it was part of it was the start was that we started talking, and then the pandemic hit 3 weeks later. But his whole thing was, hey, tell me what your dreams are. Tell me what you want to get done. And then I will tell you what money, because maybe investing is not right for you. Do you know what I mean? Maybe, and I just want to ask about that because, it seems like there is such a strong pull to invest. I have so many friends who are investing in the stock market and who are great at it and having good and making money. But is it something that everyone needs to get into, or is it something that is organic to who you are and what you want?
I think that difference between savings and investing is also a progression we'd like to make in the conversation.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. This is a great question that you asked there.
I don't invest, so we can start there. It's true.
There you go.
I'm just I'm a saver. I love seeing my savings account go up and up, and the interest rate, and I'm like, yes, free money. That's it's not as much maybe as investing, but go ahead.
Yeah, but indirectly you're still investing, because if you have a 401k or a retirement account of any sort, that is still being invested because you're taking advantage of whatever the money manager that's managing that account is doing for you. But when it comes to Nick, you had the point you're making with regard to the advisor is great, because yes, you do need to have and work with someone that understands the markets and understands the various nuances associated with investing and your financial plan. Because remember now, the financial planning is more than just investing your money, okay? Because there's the aspect where you also have to look at insurance coverages. For instance, Monet's now married and she has a child. She now has to focus on, well, do I have, God forbid anything happens to me or my spouse, what happens to my child, okay? And that, again, is something that not a lot of people in our community pays much attention to at all. But it is important. And there's the Asian community, it's huge there. So when it comes to that, for me, it should be a holistic approach. And that's one of the reasons why I got into financial planning and to get my Series 7 licenses, because I was just focused on doing taxes as a side gig. And as a result of that grew. I ended up leaving the stock exchange and then decided, okay, I'm sorry having children, so someone has to take care of them, And it was a lot easier for me because I had something else that I could be doing, and I took a buyout there, and I decided, okay, fine, this is what I'm going to do. Plus, on top of that, my wife was making more money than I was anyway, so I was like, okay, I'll still make more money.
There you go.
But it wasn't that easy, being a stay-at-home dad. But seriously speaking, though, when it comes to your investing, you have to look at the entire person. What is it? What are their plans? What are their goals? How do they want to live in retirement? Are they going to work as a greeter at Walmart, or would they rather be traveling the world? And it's not always easy, but it's something that you need to discipline yourself and do. And so it goes back to putting a few dollars away, put a little extra away. Because taxes eat a lot of that money, your living expenses take up a lot. People are spending more money on Uber now. Now, I've seen that where, primarily with millennials, I'm going to pick on you a little bit, okay? Where you spend, Sasha, right? on your hands, why not take the bus in Manhattan instead of Ubering it? Okay.
Because we don't have the time. That's the problem.
I'm late.
I don't have time.
I'm late.
I will say, y'all. And this is my wife will kill me.
Let's start the subway. Come on.
No, it's true. I biked. I've been biking in. I've been biking in lately, and now here's the thing: biking in New York is dangerous. Yeah,
like, what are you doing?
I know that's and that you exactly what you said, Mona, is exactly what Sarah said. She was like, "Why are you being an idiot? Please don't do that."
I'm here for you, Sarah.
Yes, we are all here for Sarah. We're all
Definitely.
But
so it goes to sacrificing those little things. You know, again, needs and wants, and the sacrifices you have to make. So if you keep in mind what your ultimate goal is going to be, you're able to focus on that, and it stays in the back of your mind every single time you're going to spend money. You think about it. Then you might say, okay, maybe I can not do that. I'll save a few dollars more. But it's a sacrifice, and it's a challenge, though.
Yeah, definitely. I want to go into some other things we want to talk about. So we want to talk about investing, but I think there's a couple of things floating around our community around money. And I think one of the reasons we wanted to do a show focused on this is because this is a very hard time for actors. Yeah. So we've got a couple of terms that we're going to go through, and some people listening, some people may have been approached on a text or a call or a thing. You may have been on a Zoom. There's a thing in culture called a susu. And I'm going to read this, then I'm going to ask if you've heard of this. There's a thing in ballet called a susu. I know what that is, okay? But a susu is a centuries-old practice that originated in West Africa. It gets its name from the Yoruban term esusu, that's esusu, which refers to a fund where several people pool their money. The word is said to be derived from the French word sou, which means a coin of little value. Have you heard of a susu? Can you explain what it is? Do we need to... You have the floor.
Thank you. Well, yes, susu I've heard about also because, as you know, in Jamaica, in the Caribbean, they have the same thing. They have another thing called partnering also, which, but it's not partnering spelled with a T, but with a P-R-D-N-E-R. However, it's the same concept, and essentially what it is, it's basically a way of saving that is being utilized. Because generally speaking, if you tell yourself that you're going to save $100 every week, okay, for the next 20 weeks, are you going to do that? It takes a bit of discipline to make sure that you stick with that plan.
Right.
So what this does, it forces your hand, so to speak, to make sure that you are saving that, because you're being held accountable by the rest of your partners or the other people in that group. But essentially, you know, if you're able to do that on your own, you don't need to be involved in the susu, because all that is it's still your money, and the way it cycles for, let's say let's say there are 15 people in the group. So for 15 straight weeks, each person is contributing $50 or $100. Let's say $100 to keep it simple, and one person out of that group each week will receive the total of whatever everyone contributes. Now, bottom line to that is that everyone puts $100 in for 15 weeks. Everyone gets $1,500 back also. The only shortcoming there is the person who's the banker or the one in charge. They usually get compensated a bit, which may be a tip in some way, just for managing the money. Okay. Yeah. So if you're able to do it on your own, you don't need to be doing any of that. So therefore, it's just a matter of discipline in order to get that lump sum amount. Because if you're to try to save that lump sum on your own, it does not necessarily always happen, because there's always something that will cause you to need it.
A sale, care of something. I don't know.
But so
a child. Yes.
And this is my question about this, because this is, you know, so essentially when you described this, the first place my mind went, and I don't know if it's true for you and Sasha or Mona and Sasha, is Dollar Friday.
Yeah.
Right? That's literally one Broadway tradition that we have is that every Friday, if you're doing Dollar Friday, everybody puts in $1, and the person who guesses how much money, the closest to how much money is in the jar, gets that amount. And that is a cool, I mean, it's like a fun game, but it really is kind of this interesting way of communal banking, because it's like, yeah, you're giving to the community. You're giving every Friday, somebody else gets it. And another way to do that is, which is another way of susu I've heard of, that I am interested in to an extent, is the idea of like, yeah, if we all pool our money and then every month somebody else gets it in a round robin, just a community bank saying, we're going to give you this gift, and it's a closed circle. That I love that. I think that's a great, again, you're taking care of each other. And if, you're all agreeing, there's no person getting the tip, you know what I mean? Like it's just like that.
And you get it out, everybody, you don't walk in. I think one of the clarifying things is to say that you don't necessarily leave with more money than you put in.
Correct. Yes. Correct. Yes.
You put in the money, you're accountable to the closed circle of people. You don't go get 2 more people or 3 more people to put it in. It's a closed circle, everybody. And so one week I have a lump sum that I can go maybe invest in something that I need or take care of an expense that's immediate that week, but I still have to keep putting the money in so that eventually I would have net 0. I'm not profiting off of this thing. It's just
Precisely. Yes. It's a zero-sum game, pretty much.
Right.
Okay? So you get what you put back in, you put into it, supposedly, as long as the banker doesn't have to get anything theoretically. Right. But what people normally used it for was they get a lump sum to purchase a large item that they may need, or even for a down payment on a house. This is going way back when houses were a lot cheaper also. So therefore that would be a big help to someone who's not disciplined enough to hold on to their money and put it away each month. And that's the reason, and that brings me to one point with regard to saving. It's best if that you don't see the money. Okay? Yeah. You just have it taken out right off the top. Yeah, it's gone. Right.
That automatic transfer.
Yes.
Just do it.
Gotta get on that automatic transfer, because otherwise she's got to work on it and
it gets spent somehow.
Right. Let's see what I'm getting.
I hate it. No, and that's great. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, Matt, with the automatic transfer matching, because you brought up 401k as a version of
the company.
Our company, we usually, the producers will put in a percentage, just match it or do more. Don't think about it, so that also automatically comes out of your paycheck. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Just the only risk in a SUSU.
Oh, the SUSU?
Oh, no. Well, it's a market for the 401k. But the SUSU is, as I've learned, again, life happens. What if someone in the group falls on hard times, loses their job, has to pay for a funeral, whatever?
And that's where the trust
and they have gotten their buyout already.
Sure.
They've gotten that $1,500, but they can no longer contribute. So
yeah.
It's still a risk, but maybe.
Well, and as I think Nick mentioned, it's a closed group,
right?
And it's a group of people that you trust already, and and this cycles because it continues on and on. It's not just for a 15-week period, but it rolls over into another 15-week period.
Yeah.
If it's 15 or 20 weeks, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And that's important. I want to mention one thing with regard to matching. Unfortunately, I've seen too many instances in which people are not contributing to their retirement account, only because it means that there's money out of their pocket. Okay, and I've even seen it with people that should know better. I've had attorneys who are not contributing because, and her excuse was, my husband's doing it. Well, well, what about you?
Yeah.
And at the same time, her employer was willing to match 5% of whatever she puts in. So she's leaving money on the table when she does that. So, she finally learned and said, oh, wait, yeah, I could do that, because she really didn't need the money. They're doing pretty well for themselves. Now this just means that there's more money that they could have been saving, investing.
Just do it.
It's interesting too, because one of the things, we don't have to throw numbers out here, but one of the things that was my experience this past couple of years is because of Hamilton, because of the money I was making in Hamilton put me in a very specific tax brackets. And I had the option of I was incorporated, so I couldn't put it in a 401k, but I could have put it in a SEP.
Right. You put it in a SEP, right.
And I think back on it now and I'm like, should I have done it? It was the way it was presented, and I love my accountant, but the way it was presented to me was a way to, again, have move income so I would be taxed on less.
Right.
And that part of it never felt right to me. That part, I'm totally down with like putting money away for retirement. And when I wasn't incorporated, I was putting it all, like I have a bunch in my 401k from all the shows previous, but this one just didn't, it just didn't feel right. Cause it was like, no, if I made this money, I want to pay the taxes on the money I made. What do
you think millionaires are doing?
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying.
Keep your money, black man.
I don't know.
I think but that's the thing is like you hire a financial advisor to help you understand how to take advantage of the tax codes. They're there. Like, it's not like what's fair, what's not. Like, if we want to talk about changing, the whole thing so that it's fair, but like, I feel like, but I do feel like that's the thing is like, we look at these, like, these story of these community-based things that feel safer because they are our community invested in a pot versus I want to sort of move towards investing because there are some questions about investing and some of the mistrust of the communities of color of things like the stock market, of things like their 401k and how those things really work and how to be educated about them. I think I want to move into that a little bit though with this other circle thing that's floating around called a blessing loom. It's been called a friends and family circle, maybe a flower. We've shared some information with you about it. We can, share some more information on our later, but we want to dive into that because this is also, and in some circles, being also purported to be like a modern day susu or out of that tradition. And it operates a bit differently. And I'd love to hear you talk about that.
Yeah. Oh, boy, I tell you, whenever you have difficult times or whenever people are, you're going through a depression or the economy is tough, there's always going to be some thing that's going to come up which is going to be taking your money away from you, or it makes it seem like it's something that's easy and it's a get rich quick thing. If it's something that you don't understand, first of all, don't do it. And that goes for investing. People will want to talk about trading in options, annuities, or if you don't understand what it is and your advisor cannot explain it to you clearly enough for you to understand it, walk away. All right. Now, when it comes to the blessing loom and these other get rich quick schemes, and I have to call it that because that's really what it is. Essentially, the person at the top is the one who makes the money and they walk away. They can, of course, return and join the circle again further down the line. But the problem is everyone else that's doing the same thing, they can only reap the rewards when they get to the top.
Yeah.
If you don't get to the top, you're never going to see that money, whatever it may be, 20,000, 30,000, 40,000. And then the other challenge there is you have to recruit someone. When you have to bring someone else in to a plan or a scheme or an investment circle, whatever it may be, that means that perpetually the next person after you would have to keep doing it. So it goes from 8 per people to now 16 to 32, 64, and so on until you rise to the top. If you never get to rise to the top, the entire thing is going to fall apart. So it really is more of a what do you call it now? A pyramid scheme? Yeah. Much more like a pyramid scheme, right?
Yeah.
So it's interesting. So we were both approached by various friends of ours to join a blessing loom that's been going around. And the first thing I want to say to anybody who might be listening, who are our friends, who are involved in this, we have no judgment about what you are doing. It's your money. Do with it what you want to. The reason we're having this talk is because we want the information. We want to help propagate the information so that you understand fully what you're getting into. And I will say for myself, the question that I had, the reason I did not do this was the way it was described to me. Again, you find it was I think at the time that I was asked, it was a $1,400 buy-in, and you find 2 people with $1,400 and bring them in under you. And, as you move up the loom or move closer to the center of the circle, as it was described, you get the closer you get to the center of the circle. Once you get to the center of the circle, you get that money. right? But then by that point, the circle has split so many times, so you're not even in the same circle with the people you started with. You're in different circles.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
What bothered me about it was because when I asked questions, everyone's like, "But no, you're going to get your money. That's not the problem." And I was like, "I'm not concerned about me getting my money.
Mm-hmm.
I'm concerned about 6-7 people down the line,
right,
who are coming into this thing and aren't, and like, again, if you are that wonderful citizen who's going to come back into the circle, amazing, and thank you for doing that. But even the literature that I was given was like, yeah, people, once you get your money, you're free to walk.
Oh, right.
If you're telling people they're free to walk.
To be clear, Nick, are you getting $1,400 back, or are
No,
you getting...
the idea is, I think it was like something like 10,000 or 11,000 back. Right. And that
it's a multiple of the number of people below you, right?
Mm-hmm. And so my thing was like, again, I have no concern about myself. I'm talking, I don't want to contribute to something that potentially leaves somebody down the line without any money. I'm not comfortable with that.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And that was me. And again, I think, and the biggest thing that they keep saying over and over is, well, it's all about trust. Do you know what I mean? But at a certain point, yeah, that's what. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, at a certain point, you're right. And it's great that you can have money to throw around like that, so you don't care about the 1,400. But I need 600.
Yeah, but sorry, I know I also had a question. So is it kind of like, is the trust that they're talking? I'm putting it in quotes. Is the trust that they're talking about that everyone who is in it is going to get to the top, and we trust that everyone will come back into the circle?
That's
how.
No, but
because you don't have control over who other people are inviting in, so I'm confused.
So that's the trust that they're talking. They're not talking about that people will come back into the circle, but they are saying don't come into the circle unless you have 2 people under you who you trust. Which again sounds right, but what my question is, well, then how did we get here? How deep into the circle are you?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Because then are you where it's drying up? Do you know what I mean?
So,
Yes.
Eventually, the population will decline,
Right.
that you can go to.
Okay.
yeah, I mean, we all remember Mary Kay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my mother was buying Mary Kay, and then, then the lady down the street is also selling Mary Kay. And then all of a sudden 50 people in the neighborhood are selling Mary Kay. And then, nobody needs any because we all have a stockpile of it. But at least then there's even a product. What I want to tie this into, though, is that I think there's a concept of investing money and getting more money out than you put in. Like you invest in a business, you invest in a product, you invest in the stock market, and your money grows. So I think there is a confluence of ideas that you are investing into your friends and into this blessing loom or into this circle, into your community even, and that makes the money, the multiple or whatever that you're getting out, makes that makes sense. But to me, I'm like, well, there's no product. There's no accrual of value. There's no, so what my question, I guess, would be is to someone who has invested their money, so to speak, into a blessing loom, and they're saying, well, I got my money out. I also got my money. The difference or any differences, I guess, that you could explain between this structure and say another investment structure like a house or the stock market or something that operates in that way. Because I will also say we had a comment earlier back saying, I'm scared of investing. It seems like a game for white people that I'll just lose all my money in. And you say, well, I definitely know where that comes from. And I think this feels like a closed community circle that's rooted in an African tradition or is being sold as that, is being, propagated as that. And so I think there's just like these two ideas or sort of this confluence again of ideas. And if you could just maybe we're in an entanglement and maybe you can help us like sort of get, sort of map it out so that people can see the differences between investing in a house versus a circle.
And I do really quick before you answer, I do want to shout out my boy Conroe Brooks, who has Conroe is in my friend circle. He is the guy that makes it his point and purpose to research this and understand this. So he was responding to Aaron's comment, and if you look through the comments, there's a bunch of cool stuff that he's been saying. But he definitely, I actually always shout out Conroe on this show, but it's because Conroe's an awesome guy. But yes, please with that question.
Well, okay. Well, with investing, first of all, this is something that may be natural to me, or I just figure it's okay. It's normal for me to be looking at investing money. I've had clients before who never wanted to put any money in the stock market, for instance, because they say it's a gamble. It's like going to Atlantic City. But if you're doing it right, you'll be fine. If you save money in the bank, the bank turns around and pays you interest on that money that you're putting in the bank, and that money will eventually grow, although it may be very slow, but it will grow. So that's the concept of investing. Basically, you're taking that money and you're trying to multiply it over and over and over again. And it's called compound, where you've invested money. Let's say you start out with $100, you got 10% interest, so you got $10 more. Now you reinvest that $110 now, and next time you're getting $115 on top of that. So that process is a little slower, yes.
What generates that? What generates that increase in money?
Right, yeah. Take that money, and that money is regenerating basically over and over and over again. And over time, you'll eventually grow that money to maybe a substantial amount. As a matter of fact, there's an old saying on Wall Street whereby it's time in the market, not timing the market. Because some years ago, a lot of people were trying to figure out, okay, how can I day trade and figure, okay, if the market's going up today, then I buy it in the morning and I sell it in the afternoon. But you can't really tell for sure when that is. If there's someone who knows exactly what's going to be happening there, I'd love to speak with them, and I'd love to invest my money.
Yeah.
Because then you know exactly how the market is moving. But the trend generally is that over a long period of time, and that's why it's for retirement purposes primarily. Over a long period of time, that money will grow because the market has shown about an average 12% rate of return, provided you're not jumping in just when the market is dropping and then getting out just when the market is topped out. Okay, so and a good example of that was back in 2008, where I had there's an elderly woman who, she wasn't my client, but she had come into the office, and this is going back to when I first started out, because I switched from sending my clients off to other advisors to get taken care of, because my tax practice, everyone was asking me those questions. I knew the answers, but I wasn't in a position to monetize that. So then that's when I decided, okay, they're being given bad advice. Let me get my license, put things in order for myself, and I can keep that money for myself instead of sending it elsewhere. Yeah. So by doing that, I was trying to help this lady. She wasn't my client, but the market had dropped back in 2008, 2009. She lost about half of her money. She was in her 70s. This was all the money she had. And I knew that at that point in time, she could not make it back immediately. However, Warren Buffett has said, you don't lose until you sell, okay? So anything that you have is just a paper loss at the time. When you do sell, it's now a realized loss. So therefore, for her, I talked her out of it one day, because her account went from like $700,000 down to about $300,000.
So she was trying to
and
sell.
she was trying to stop. Yeah, she was trying to sell.
She was scared. She wanted to
get
sell,
out. Right.
And you said stick with it.
Right, because she was at the bottom. The only place to go was up. So she had just left it. Yeah.
But she's 70. She's scared. She also had nervous. No time.
Right.
She's like,
She didn't know. Right. Exactly. Right. And that's where she needed an advisor. Right. First of all, she should not have been fully invested in the stock market then.
Right. Like all her money
was practically all her money.
Don't do that.
Okay. Right.
Got that.
And then her advisor hadn't had some conversations with her to let her understand that this is where you're at, and this is what could happen if the market goes south.
Sure.
And as it turns out, she was so nervous about it, even though she did not do it when she spoke with me, because at that time I was the broker of the day. This is going back to when I was trying to take everyone's money from investing. But as broker of the day, you're responsible for anyone who walks in. She was fine. The following week, what ends up happening? She sold everything anyway.
Oh, man.
So would it be wise to say, sorry, I cut you off real quick. Would it be wise, just for me, like to wrap this up, like the money you're investing is not money that you absolutely need, that it's like extra money, right? So it's it would be if you were to go into a susu that you were like, I can give $100 and still eat, pay my rent, X, Y, and Z, manage. It's not money like, oh, it's because it becomes the gamble when it's like, okay, this is my eating money, but I'm gonna put it over here now, or over here, and then hope that it grows. This should just be like money that's extra that you're like, oh, okay,
right.
It would be great if.
Exactly. Well, yeah, like we said earlier, this is money that comes out of your paycheck before you see it.
Yep.
So you don't need it.
So yeah, so it's not like your financial, like everything is relying on the stock market.
Right.
That's, I think, where maybe would be scared. Of course, you'd be scared, right? If you're just like,
yes,
yeah, you're not totally exposed to the market as a result of that.
Got it.
And it's money that you're right, you don't need. The money is set aside, and you look at it, 10, 15, 20 years down the road, and say, okay, fine, I'm in a good position right now as far as that's concerned. As far as the opportunities that are presented, there are different options that are available where you can actually get involved in something more conservative, which will, let's say something like an annuity, for instance, which will pay you a fixed dollar amount based upon the percentage of interest rate that you'll get paid, and you'll get that over a period of time. But with those, there are a lot of charges and fees associated with annuities, so it will be money that you won't need for the next 5 or 10 years, because they have what's called contingent deferred sales charges on those, and those sales charges.
Right, we were like,
I didn't want to get into that, but basically what they do is what the company does is the company's taking your money, and they're doing whatever they want to do with it, but they're saying, you know what, Sasha, let me have $100,000 or $50,000 of your money. We'll give that back to you in 10 years, and you'll get a rate of return of 5% on that money. Okay.
So loan, you're loaning to this company.
Essentially, that's all it is. Yes. So you're giving that up because they're guaranteeing you that they're going to give you a 5% rate of return. They, on the other hand, may turn around and make 15-20% on that money, and they'll pay you the 5%.
Right.
So they have options like that where you can actually invest in a guaranteed manner and get something returned on your money.
That's something.
So I guess what I want to look at is that we're talking about investing, whether we're talking about the stock market or that big fancy thing that you just mentioned. It's not fancy. I know it's like totally, these are the things you go to a financial advisor for, but you're investing in businesses, you're investing in a company, you're investing in the product and the value of that company. When you invest in a house, you're investing in property values. So the money increases according to the product or the value of the thing that you are sort of loaning your money to or investing money into. Precisely. I think what I'm seeing with this other model, and this will be the last thing that we sort of touch on with this blessing loom thing, is that there's this concept of you're investing, but there's no product. So how do you discern like where this increase in money is coming from?
You don't. Well, and Sasha, that's the difficult part for people to understand. You're not really investing in anything. You're just putting your money in, you're gambling, basically, that when you get to the top or at the top of the circle, whatever it may be, you'll get whatever X amount of dollars it may be. 30,000. It's something which if someone does it, I have less respect for them because they don't really understand their money. Okay. Now, there are people who are going to do it, and they are going to get whatever it is that they're supposed to get out of it. Okay. But God forbid you're the person that's at the bottom who's now in a position where they've paid $1,400 and they're getting nothing because the entire thing is falling apart.
Yeah. You're at the end.
So it's like any other pyramid scheme. The ones that are there early or the first ones to the table are the ones who are going to get fed, and everyone else who comes later are just feeding the ones at the top. And that's basically it. With a house, you can see that if you purchase a home, historically speaking, home values have gone up an average of about 3 to 4% per annum.
Per year,
yeah.
Per annum.
Annually. Okay. I guess that's why she's here.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
So with that, you see that there is some value. There's something that you're going to get there. You're building equity in that home. Certainly, there have been some examples, with the market crash that has affected people. And then again, it also depends on where you're investing. In Manhattan, for instance, values there just keep skyrocketing. There's nothing to slow it down. Whereas in other towns, or let's say you're in upstate New York, those housing prices have not rebounded from where it was back in 2009.
And then we're even talking about things like redlining and, homes for houses
together.
So I think there's I definitely want to say there are definitely hard times, and definitely within communities of color. I think there are all these other systems at work that sort of make you mistrust the things that are supposed to work, like investing in the stock market or investing in a house or investing in these things. It's well, that hasn't always worked out. So there's a little bit of there's a lot of empathy for people going through hard times and just trying to make ends meet and hoping that this thing with a trusted community will work. But I really appreciate some of the blunt clarity that you've given to this, and I do hope
this.
Yeah. What do you say to somebody? I'm sorry, Nick. What do you say to somebody who's in it and thinking, oh, well, maybe I shouldn't have done this?
Well, if you're already in it, hopefully you'll be able to get out at the top. Okay. And if and when you do, then count your blessings and be thankful that you did before everything crashed. Unfortunately, then you're gonna worry, like Nick was talking about. What about the people that you brought in?
Yeah.
How do you feel about them now? Because they're now the ones left holding the bag.
Maybe it's just making sure you check back in and making sure those people are good. And
yeah, you may have to do that. I would suggest that definitely would be a good thing, at least from the perspective of karma.
Yeah. And again, and this is what I will say. If you are prepared to do the legwork to come back and keep that circle going, good on you, and do your thing. What I have gleaned from this, and why I'm so thankful that you guys came in today, knowledge, y'all, knowing, having there. We live in an age where people pick their facts, but there is such a thing as math, and there is such a thing as knowledge and fact, and knowing what this is, so that no matter what you do, whether you choose to invest in the stock market or choose to invest in a susu or blessing, whatever you want to do, you have all the knowledge, not just the knowledge that wins your argument. Right. You have every single facet of it, because I think, going back to Aaron Albano's comment, that is why we have been told as Black people and as people of color that this knowledge is not for us. So we are very scared of it.
That's a shame, right?
And that's what we're trying to fight.
Who was it who said, if you want to hide something from a Black person, put it in a book?
Woo!
I love that.
Well, and I'm yeah.
Somebody said
that's an old one.
About
right. I heard.
And
that.
I'm on a wire kick. I'm on a wire kick right now. But one of the best lines in it, and it's a little paraphrase, but he said, "You know what the scariest thing in America is? Negro with a library card." And it's just the truth. It's just the truth, like knowledge. So guys, I just thank you, because this has been so much knowledge, and anybody listening, please gain the knowledge for yourself. Please gain the knowledge for yourself.
Again, we will say, this is the conversation. We wanted to some Q&A, but as far as information, like legal advice, financial advice, you would do well to seek out a financial advisor and actually have a contract with that person. Yeah, call Patrick McKay. We'll get. And seek that out and seek out the information. But we're so grateful for your time and your thoughts and your smiles.
Absolutely.
Thank you. It's great being with you guys. Thank you so much. And it's great sharing that information and just getting that information out there. I think, like Nick said, knowledge is important, and it's pretty powerful when you can have it. Our entire society is built on information. Information is sold.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. All right. Well, we're going to end this broadcast. You guys stay on, and we'll thank you off the broadcast. But guys, thank you for coming. I hope you learned something. All love to you all.
Be good to you guys. All right. I love you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.